Yeah, it's come up. I've got different page numbers. So.
Welcome, councillors, staff and gallery to the November 21 meeting of council. I'd like to open proceedings by acknowledging that we are meeting today on the lands of the Nadgeri people. We recognise the Nadgeri people as the traditional custodians of these lands and acknowledge their continuous connection they have to the country. We also have the tribes of the Paramount and the Ghana nations who also own lands in the Barossa region. There's no apologies. We're all present. Oh, here comes Councillor Priest. Yeah, we're all present. We'll move to items 2.1 of the agenda, which is the minutes from the previous meetings for confirmation. They were the meetings held on the 17th of October at 5:30 and then a special council meeting held on the 26th of October 2023 at 5:30. There was another special meeting held on the 26th of October 2023. Would someone like to move those? Councillor Hearn? With the amendments. Yes, there's an amendment there. Thank you. Moved Councillor Hearn and seconded Councillor Angus. All those in favour? Carried. No matters arising from the minutes, no petitions. We'll move to item 3.2, which is, as I always say, one of my great enjoyable duties. Denise Marlowe, come forward, please. How are you? Thank you so much. Thank you sincerely on behalf of the elected members for your volunteering effort. You've been involved in the digital services in the library. Well done. And the digital world is just a whole new world, isn't it? I love my gadgets. You must love gadgets too, so it's good. So you've been instrumental in helping to establish the digital services program and have provided invaluable digital assistance to hundreds of customers. You're very compassionate, and I try to teach my wife how to use the phone and the computer, but you're very patient. So I must learn some of your patience, I think. So, but you're extremely knowledgeable. You've got a wonderful character, and you are a favourite, I'm told, with the community. And you're always there to help and be of some assistance with all the different systems, software, and everything else in between, because there's just a gamut of things out there nowadays, isn't there? There's a few examples that they've provided me here with, and you have been connecting the community to loved ones overseas through the FaceTime. So that would be a great experience for those people. So well done. Teaching navigation of Microsoft Office for the job applications or study of help. You know, it probably would be handy for some of these elected members, I think. Some of that, including me. Helping people to use phones, the cameras on their phones. So, sincerely, thank you for your devotion, dedication, patience, and all the things that you've done over those years. You'll be really missed by everybody. And as I said earlier, thank you so much on behalf of Council. Well done. Just excuse me for a moment. Yep. Whoops. Yep.
You don't know how to use it.
So congratulations, well done. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
Item 4.1 is the Mayor's report. Any questions that any members may have on the Mayor's report? Someone like to move? The Councillor De Vries and seconded Councillor Greatwich. All those in favour? Carried. Matters for information. The 6.1 refers to the sister city Grapevine, and it's a letter from Grapevine, the Mayor Tate. But I just want to point out that we have an item later on at the closing of the meeting, 7.5.3, which will do the official signing. So each one of you will come forward and we're going to do the official signing, and we'll have a little bit of a ceremony associated with the formalising our relationship with Grapevine. So, and there's a little bit of a memento for each one of you from the city of Grapevine. So that'll come up a little bit later on. Is there any matters that for anybody there, any issues? If not, we will move on. Councillor Greatwich.
Just a quick question in relation to item 6.12, which was the conclusion of the native title claim. There was a note in that there would be a link through to the consent determination, which was an electronic document, but I couldn't actually see the link. If it's possible to see those documents as a matter of interest, I think that would be fantastic if that's possible to circulate. Yeah, I saw that. They said we had to put it in a folder for people to access. So if it is possible to provide it in some format. Yep, thank you.
All right. We'll move on to the 7.1.1, which is the appointment of Deputy Mayor on page 89. So there is a recommendation there. Councillor Priest? Yep.
Oh, I was just going to move that nominate Councillor Catherine Schilling for the position of Deputy Mayor.
Okay. I think I've got to do the first recommendation first, and then I'll take the nomination. So the first recommendation outlines the procedure we're going to follow and we'll go from there. So can someone move? Yep. Councillor Angus and seconded Councillor De Vries. All those in favour? Carried. Now, Councillor Priest, I'll take your nomination.
I'll nominate Councillor Catherine Schilling for the position of Deputy Mayor.
Okay. Any further nominations? Councillor Schilling, are you prepared to stand in as Deputy Mayor? I am. Thank you. So I think we can now move to recommendation 3. So you do. Thank you. So recommendation 3 is there before you. Councillor De Vries?
I'll move that with the inclusion of the name Catherine Schilling.
And seconded by Councillor Priest. Yes. All those in favour? Carried. You can. With the leave of the meeting, because I'm going to make a statement too. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, congratulations. Welcome.
And to Councillor De Vries, thank you very much for the past 12 months of your role as Deputy Mayor. I think I've used you more than any other Deputy Mayor in the past because of a few little things that have cropped up in my particular role and a few other little things, but sincerely appreciate your contribution throughout the last 12 months and your involvement in that particular role. So thank you very much. Yep. Hang on, Councillor Priest, could I just turn yours off for a sec? Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank my fellow councillors for making the last year when I was Deputy Mayor very enjoyable. You've all been terrific to work with and I've enjoyed it very much, and I know, Kathy, you'll have a fantastic time with it. And I also want to thank the Mayor for, you know, my involvement with him and, you know, sharing that relationship. So I really enjoyed that as well. And just because I'm not the Deputy Mayor does not mean I'm going to change the way I behave. So.
Really? Councillor Priest.
Oh, look, I'd just like to say that Councillor De Vries did a fantastic job while he was Deputy Mayor, but also when he was acting Mayor, I think he did an honourable job for the times that he did that. So I would like to thank him.
Okay, we'll move to 7.1.2, the review of the confidential orders on page 93 of CO.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I have a conflict under Section 120 of the Local Government Act. They relate to the employment conditions. And I'll leave the room. Come back, I promise.
Councillor De Vries.
Move the recommendation, Your Worship.
And move Councillor De Vries and second Councillor Schilling. Your mic was on.
Either one wish to speak to the motion? Any questions? All those in favour? Carried.
Martin?
7.1.3 on page 97.
Possible renaming of the Warren Reservoir to Lake Warren and the South Para Reservoir be renamed South Para Lake. Any questions? Councillor Drayton.
I think it's a fantastic initiative to seek to rename the reservoirs from a consumer-facing tourism perspective, and I really take the inspiration that came from the visit to Grapevine as the catalyst for that. I'd just really love to introduce into the conversation the possibility of not simply renaming it Lake Warren. I did a little bit of research on Mr. Warren. He's a lovely gentleman. He was a really...
I probably need you to
Yes.
stay with the question and we can...
Okay, so my question is whether we could consider honouring John Warren in another way, given his support for universal women's suffrage in South Australia, by considering naming the lake after a notable woman of South Australia.
Your question just simply on the basis that it's already known as Warren Reservoir. George Warren donated the land, and I think there'd be, look, at the end of the day, this is only a suggestion
Symbolic.
to the Minister. The Minister could just say whatever, but I would see that, yeah, my personal view is that, you know, in answering your question, that's an option, but I guess if I get a mover in a second or we debate it, and if it's, we'll go from there, I think might be the best way to move forward. Councillor De Vries, oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, I was going to move it, but...
Is there a question, Councillor Priest?
No, I'd like to debate when we bring it up.
Okay, all right.
Well, I'm happy to move the...
Okay, moved Councillor De Vries. Second to Councillor Greatwich. Councillor De Vries.
Yes, I think this is a terrific idea for the reasons that were already hinted at. The name reservoir tends to feel like a dam, which I guess it is, and it also feels like it's not public space. Now, this council, long before I got in it, was desperately trying to get the Warren Reservoir to become public space. It was something that the Water Board were very reluctant to do, and I know that in recent times the governments have been very keen to actually see the Warren Reservoir open up for recreation, and I'd like to see that go further than what they've actually done. I'd like to see sailboats on there as well. I think there's a lot of things. The potential is huge. And speaking with Scott Hazeldine, the CEO of Barossa Australia, only last week, we were talking about the fact that if there is a weakness to the Barossa, we tend to be seen as food and wine, and that's kind of our main brand, and yet there's so much more that we have on offer, and I really believe that a lot of the tourism potential that we have in this area is around the area of Williamstown and those lakes or reservoirs as they currently are. And I think that anything that we can do to, dare I say, make them more sexy, to give them a greater appeal, to make them something that is going to drive tourism and actually get activity there is for the good. In preparation for this, I actually, while I go down to Williamstown a lot, I thought I might actually talk to some people down there, so I rang up the postmaster and asked his opinion of this. He said this was a fantastic idea, that everybody he'd spoken to thought this was huge. And that it would drive and help drive tourism into the area, because when people think of a lake, they think of something that an activity, something where they can engage, where they feel like it's part of something that everybody owns. A reservoir, however, feels like it just feels like it's owned by a corporation or by a government, and it's not something that the community feels comfortable or as comfortable with. So perhaps it's symbolic, and let's face it, naming something is a symbol, but I think it's a powerful symbol, and for the sake of just changing the name from reservoir to Warren, reservoir to lake, I think we would get a great outcome for the southern part of the Barossa and for the Barossa at large.
Councillor Creighton, would you second the motion? So I'll probably just ask the others to turn your mics off for a moment. Do you want to speak, that is?
Briefly, I promise. Likewise. Look, I absolutely take the point. Naming is symbolic. It is a powerful thing to name something, and in the same way that we can talk to the power in renaming something from a reservoir to a lake, I think there is an avenue there to consider. The whole of the Barossa has been renamed at one time or another for various reasons, so there's absolutely precedent in that space. I echo the idea of a reservoir feeling industrial and exclusive, whereas a lake is recreational, it's welcoming, it speaks to leisure. So there's, in the same way that there is power in that change, I think that there is absolutely potential to investigate honouring Mr Warren and his support for universal suffrage in South Australia by considering renaming it in its entirety as well.
Councillor Priest got his light on then, if you want to put the light on, you follow the process with the light.
Yeah, look, I'll oppose this motion because I quite frankly can't see there any reasoning why we'd want to do this changing at all. There's no need for it. Just for the sake of change, there's just no need for that. And I'd strongly not support the changing of the name from Warren Reservoir or Lake Warren at all, because I think it's dishonouring the man who donated the land and dishonouring the family. So I'd strongly oppose this, and I strongly oppose the changing of the name fully from Warren at all.
I think Councillor Creighton clarified the point on the Warren, so that was not an issue. Councillor Frew.
Thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor, I'd just like to just comment mainly on just maybe the process of echoing maybe what was mentioned before by Councillor Schilling. It's just journeying the public and the community around that. I think we need to do a very thorough job. The why behind the what in that area, because I feel that people don't understand. There's been some interesting comments online, not that that should drive us at all, and I actually do like the idea of changing the name, But I think we need to do some work and journey with the community at large, and what the benefits of the name change would be, because I think it can be seen as a blanket, well, we're going to do it from this position here and we don't live there and we don't understand. I just think there needs to be a better communication. So that was my comment on it. Although I do understand the processes behind it and the reasons behind it, and I do agree with that. So I'd just like to say that. Thank you.
I just need to clarify, we're not changing the name. That'll be for the Deputy Premier, and I'm sure she'll take her due diligence of consultation and all those other things into consideration. So we're just putting forward a suggestion. Councillor?
No, my question's been answered.
Okay. Yep. Councillor Barrett?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thought long and hard about this one, and like quite a few other councillors, done a bit of research in relation to this. And reservoirs are man-made for storage of water or to prevent downstream flooding. Lakes are natural. This is not natural, it's man-made. It is a reservoir, and it always has been and always will be. Throughout South Australia, if you examine the South Australian water website, there's 16 reservoirs. Included in those is one lake. That's the Blue Lake down at Mount Gambier. That is a lake because it is not man-made. That is not one of the reservoirs. That's oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I apologise for that. You are correct on that one. And whilst I appreciate the sentiment behind this, we're Australian and we can see straight through this. And I reflect on what happened a few years ago when some Americanisms come in through fighting fires, and suddenly fires were called wildfires. That lasted a couple of years until people come to their senses, and that name was got rid of, and we're now back to they're called bushfires. What's going to happen next? We're then going to start calling our footpaths pavements. We're going to be calling petrol gas. These are the type of things that we've got to consider before we go down this path. And the other thing, and thank you for whoever put this on everyone's desk, if you look down the right-hand side, you'll see Raw Barossa. Now, Raw Barossa is an event that was run by the Williamstown Action Group, and just around the side of it you see what RAW stands for. The first one is R for reservoir. So they trade on that name for their sporting events down there through their kayaking, their running and their swimming. And so at this stage you've got a Williamstown Action Group that, as far as I know, they haven't been consulted, they don't know about it, and suddenly we're going to propose up to the Deputy Premier that we change a name, and the people who trade on that name haven't been consulted, unless the Mayor has done it in between time. I don't know, but that is one of my concerns on this particular motion, the way it is. So with that, I've said my piece. I call it what it is. It is a reservoir, and it will always be a reservoir to me. You can put some fancy name and call it a lake, and I understand all the rationale behind it, but it is a reservoir, and that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Clarify a couple of points. I think it's appropriate, seeing I wrote the report. Thank you for your comments. We have lakes, man-made lakes through the eastern states, everywhere sort of thing. So it's not unusual for man-made lakes to be, man-made reservoirs to be named lakes. I suppose the thing that I just want to touch on is the businesses and the community people that I've spoke to see the absolute merit in freeing up the opportunities to drive more business into their towns. We've got 2 new cafes about to open. We've had a hotel that struggled with tourism on Sundays, that they're not open until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So the notion behind it comes, okay, it was something I did see in America, but it made good sense to me to put something forward. And I've already briefly spoke to the Deputy Premier over it. It'll be her decision and won't be our decision in any way. I have spoken to the Tourism Minister when Ms Mile and myself attended there, and we talked about the Barossa tourism opportunities, and she was quite clear that the Barossa needs to be bold, was the words she said. And I think in many regards, all we're trying to do here is you rightfully talked to Matt Hale in this document, which he totally supports the renaming of the lake. He thinks it'll do his business so much more opportunity than what it has in the past, because simply he just believes that the word lake immediately paints a beautiful scene in our imaginations, and we can expand on still water. And we've got the pine forest, we've got the forest that's about to invest in tree walks as well as accommodation into that area. So lakes, okay, lake, reservoir, yeah. So really it's a suggestion to put forward to the Premier, and I believe that she'll do her due diligence, and it may not even go any further. But I just decided to put it here rather than sort of go to the community, because it may not fly any further. But also, and I have spoken to a number of the key stakeholders in Williamstown. I don't think they've appeared on Facebook as yet, but the ones I spoke to were very annoyed with the comments that did appear on Facebook and made them somewhat angry. They didn't want to respond because they didn't want to jeopardise their business, but I can assure you the businesses were really supportive of it. Okay, I'll put the motion. All those in favour to, with the Oh, David, you close the debate, sorry.
Yeah, no, I will say a couple of words. I understand the points that are being made about, yeah, okay, so the Americans use the word lake. So what? I mean, so they also do that in Victoria where I grew up. So I understand the point sorry, Councillor Barrett, but that wasn't my motivation at all. My motivation was exactly what we talked about. I actually think that the word lake is a friendlier title. I think it's one that's more engaging. There are other words that we use, like the word reserve. I actually find that a word that I'd like to see changed to park, because I actually find that, you know, parks seem to me to be a sort of a place which is more friendly, more family orientated. So it's on a similar line. So look, I understand the position, and I understand that change is something that people find sometimes confronting, but I actually do think this is a change that is for the good. I think it's going to benefit the tourism area around Williamstown, and for that reason, more than any other, I'd like to see this happen.
Those against? The motion is carried. Thank you. Item 7.2.2, the office closure on page 99. Any questions? Moved Councillor Barrett. And seconded Councillor Hurd? Either one wish to speak?
No, just make good sense, start, get trained.
Okay. All those in favour? Carried. Item 7.2.3, the procurement policy on page 102. Any questions? Moved Councillor Hearn and seconded Councillor Lane. Either one wish to speak to it? All those in favour? Carried. 7.2.4, the annual report, 2022-23 financial year on page 112. Any questions for the annual report? Councillor Schilling?
Yes, I just wanted to find out what the Soldiers Memorial Hall spend was on. I saw that they were doing some works, there's problems with trees. Is that what that was relating to, that 29,000? Thank you.
Through you, Mr Mayor. In Uri, Yeah, so that is works related to the significant cracking in the hall. There's a long-term strategy to try and arrest that. That's my understanding what that expenditure was.
Cracking in the hall?
Yeah, so I can, it actually, there's some cracking that's occurring in the front parts of the hall, basically due to, I'm not an engineer and we haven't got the other person here today, but so some of that was about undermining of the foundation by trees, and there's a longer term strategy to address that.
Any other questions? Yep. CEO?
Just a quick update, Mr Mayor. We're still toing and froing with the auditors on the final throws of the accounts, so we'll be able to add those in when we pass them at the special meeting next week. All going well. Seems to be in a heavy audit year because there's many behind us still, so we will hopefully meet the deadlines, but it's going to be tight.
It's a very comprehensive report with a lot of activities, and well done to all. I'm looking, Councillor Angus moved and seconded Councillor Greatwich. Either one wish to speak to it? All those in favour? Carried. 7.2.5 is the Township Street Flags Framework on page 274. Any questions? Moved Councillor, oh hang on, Councillor.
No, Tony can move it, I'll second it.
Okay. Moved Councillor Hearn and seconded Councillor De Vries. Councillor Hearn, you wish to speak to it? Thank you. Any further comment? All those in favour? Carried. Page 288, 7.2.6 is the Barossa Valley Hockey Association Memorandum of Understanding and Loan Arrangements Amendment on page 288. Councillor Schilling.
I'd like to move the recommendation, Mayor.
And Councillor Priest, you had your...
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Schilling.
No, I just hope everybody supports this. It's I think it's a timely situation that it needed reviewing, and I did distribute some extra information about how much the association uses the pitch for certain different opportunities throughout the year. So yeah, I just ask everybody to support the motion.
Councillor Priest. No further comment. All those in favour? Carried. Page 292, 7.2.7 is the monthly financial report. Moved Councillor De Vries. Seconded Councillor Priest. Either one to speak? No further comment. All those in favour? Carried. Page 295, which is the request for a memorial on community land. John Royst. Councillor Schilling.
Yes, I would like to move this recommendation, and I hope everybody supports it.
Councillor Priest.
I'd just like to second it, and I support this motion.
Thank you. Any other comments? All those in favour? Carried. 7.4.1 on page 308. Is the consideration and adoption of committee's resolutions for the Bush Gardens. Councillor Priest.
I'll move this motion.
Moved Councillor Priest, seconded Councillor Troop. Either one wish to speak? All those in favour? Carried. Page 316, 7.4.2 is the submission to the Greater Adelaide Regional Plan discussion paper. Any question, Councillor Greatwich?
Thank you. I'm madly scrolling to get to page 343. Sorry, 343. I did note in here, I just wanted to ask a question around the section that speaks to Council's growth and infrastructure investment strategy, and it highlights 4 key points as having been part of the feedback that was received and is being considered in preparing that draft strategy. And I just wanted to note that that one of the, to my reading of it, one of the strongest pieces of feedback that we received through that engagement process was around retaining the existing town boundaries. And I don't see that that has been included as a key point there. And I just wanted to question that and also seek to have that included. Certainly the feedback that I receive very consistently from residents is around retaining those town boundaries as they currently stand. And I think that that came very strongly through the feedback that we received in that engagement process.
Thank you. I thought that was brought up in other parts of the report quite clearly. Yes. Sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Greatwich. Yep, so we've made sure that that will feed into the submission. We have got tomorrow, so we can review that and amend that to make sure that it is clear. But I do highlight that that first dot point does suggest that the council does express that there's limited desire for growth outside of the township boundaries. So we can tighten that wording up. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. Thank you.
And I absolutely acknowledge that it is included in other sections of the report as well. I just thought in a section where we're specifically highlighting the key points that came through that feedback, it may be helpful to have it noted specifically there.
And I guess that was consistent with what the Commission advised that night as well. So, yep. Okay. There's a recommendation there. Councillor Priest, you've moved and seconded. Councillor Hearn, either one wish to speak? No further comment. All those in favour? Carried. 7.5.1 on page 485 is the City of Grapevine Texas Sister City Relationship September 2023 Visit Delegation Report on page 485. Compliments to Ms Moore for that very detailed report, which explained almost minute by minute our whole time in Grapevine. Any questions?
I've already got mine.
Oh, sorry. Councillor Priest, you've moved.
Yeah, I move this motion. Yeah.
Councillor Priest, second. Councillor Priest.
Yeah, I think it was a good report, and I think I fully support the Sister City program that we're doing, and I think that talking to people that attended this from our area greatly supported as well. And in fact, I think we sold about 112 cases of wine, and I think they could have sold probably 2,000 more cases. So I fully support this motion and support the Sister City project.
No, I think Councillor Priest has said it very well.
Okay, all those in favour? Carried. I just might point out some of the contents of that report will be forwarded on to tourism ministers and a few other people who have shown an interest to get an update on it. So we'll be making the most of every opportunity with the Economic and Business Minister as well as Tourism Ministers. The next item is 7.5.4, which is the establishment of a Section 41 committee, Sister City Advisory Committee, on page 523. Any questions?
Before I move this motion, the question is, just to like to throw it out there, I think there should be possibly one or two councillors on this committee as well, not just the mayor. You're just the only one that's been recommended to be on this, but I think that it's good that we have a councillor or two on this recommendation.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm waiting for you.
Oh, you're waiting for me? Okay, well.
Look, well, the way I viewed it was this is very much a working group, an administration. Anything of any significance and I'm only on there to chair the meetings. It's really that group that's going to have to do the work. So, I mean, if Councillor wants to go on, I'm happy to step off and let him go, because it is going to be very much a working group and they'll be very hands-on, and most things we're going to have to come back. Anything to do with future delegations and going over there will be thrashed out in this chamber. This is for these people to go and work the nuts and bolts to how they can best grow the product, not us. Whilst we'll be the, what are we? What's the word? What's the terminology I'm looking for? Yeah, just facilitating that group. So, but it's up to you if you want to load it up.
I'm happy to move the motion as it is. It's all right.
Beg pardon?
If no one wants to do an amendment, then I'm happy to move it as it is.
Move it as it is. Okay, thanks, Councillor Priest. Seconder, Councillor DeVries. You speak to it.
I'm glad that we're actually doing this in more than just symbolism, that, you know, this is actually going to be an active relationship, and I think that's really important. We don't necessarily have sister city relationships in China or in Japan, but we do have close relationships with townships over there, or what they would call townships, what we'd call large cities. But those relationships are not ongoing, and I think that is unfortunate. I'm really glad that Grapevine is very keen to be actively involved with the relationship, and I think this is also a great sign that we're demonstrating that active engagement as well. So,
thank you. Any further comment? All those in favour? Carried. We'll move to the 7.5.3, which will be the official signing of the Sister City Grapevine Texas Sister City Agreement by all the elected members. So what I'll do is I'll call each one of you forward and we'll meet over at the Night Watchman, and I'll formally do a little
Sorry.
What I just want to say is that this is the Night Watchman from Grapevine. And turn of the century, there was no police. And so there was a night watchman that looked after the streets of Grapevine up until, I reckon, the mid-1950s, before they had their first police force. And so in the town hall is the statue of the night watchman. And he's very symbolic with how the community grew and how their whole culture and heritage grew around, once again, volunteers going out and keeping an eye on the streets at night. So as part of our gift that we took to America was the wine, what do we call that? The Vessel Earth, the Vessel Earth, which was the mould for the monument, the Vessel Earth on the bike path, and they were absolutely
really rapt with us bringing over the earth in that form to Grapevine, and it's going to be placed into the forefront of their building, which they call their Friendship Hall. See how I was so reliant on Joe when we was over there. But really, they were very sincere. The ceremony that they put on to acknowledge the Barossa was really second to none. We were treated like royalty by everyone. We had the Secretary of State for Texas, who was very much involved in the whole ceremony. So to say, well, it was a big deal as far as they were concerned, and I think it's only symbolic. Well, it's not symbolic. It's important that we sort of place the importance that you have.
And also the 30 million free advertising that we have.
Well, that's right, all the
30
advertising
million.
that went with
30
it. So,
million, more than the population of Australia.
yeah, no, so it was very, very worthwhile. So, so with that in mind, I would like to call, well, he's not, well, this gets interesting, doesn't it? I've got to call the past deputy mayor out to sign this document.
I was probably drawn
Through
up.
you, Mr Mayor, the deputy mayor actually starts, I think it's about the 27th.
Big pardon?
Deputy mayor goes to the 27th and then it's changed.
Oh, okay.
So technically, it's actually.
You're in the wings for a little bit longer.
You're a has-been.
What's the date today? It's in the recommendation.
We've got another week.
Yeah, okay.
Excuse me, my back.
Yeah, we've got to send photographs back to, am I in the right spot?
If you want a good camera. Say cheese.
Oh, I just signed Rick Lane. I'm down.
You've been promoted.
John?
He signed your name for you, Rick.
Oh, did he? Oh, David?
Is it gold ingot?
Oh, how lovely. That's really nice.
Sit down, hang on. Yeah, that's it, I'll hang on to you. That's you. Where are we?
It's a little Bedford's.
Yeah, you don't get the gift until you do the whole job.
We have to put this in our council returns.
No, I think you're all right. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Oops.
Whoops.
There.
That's the gold ingot in there.
Councillor Barrett.
That means I'm last, John.
Thank you. Look up and smile. Look up and smile. Yeah, I'm doing all those type things. Yep.
Should take them off.
One there too, that one there. There you go, sir. Thank you very much. Well done. Thank you. Oh, where's my glasses? Councillor Jane.
Janine, read it.
We've got to contact the Specsavers there.
Councillor Greatwich.
Go through the
Isn't it sharp enough?
Oh, there we go.
I'm just pretending that's right.
Which W? You're right.
Councillor Hearn.
Oh, no matter what we do, there's something in life and we'll make other people happy. That's why I got on this one.
Where are we, lad?
You're up there.
Do we do a small first?
Next to mine,
The minister will.
Yep.
The minister will do the consultation. That should be on a banknote, I reckon.
Councillor Lane.
Olympic Federation too. Back in 1977.
Up and small.
Number, I've got a tie, and a pin that went through the tie plus yeah, it was amazing. It was an Olympic tie, but they were the executive of the Olympic Federation, and the Islander looked after us in those days.
Councillor Priest.
In the end.
When you do the sign.
Oh.
You go, sir.
Do I have a copy for my office wall or something? Standing.
Councillor Schilling.
You awake, Councillor Schilling? Need a bit more energy than that if you're going to be deputy mayor, I'm telling you.
Tell him off, Catherine.
She wanted to throw something at me.
No, I would too.
No, that's all right, I can get into it. She used to be my neighbour. I had to move away.
And another one over here.
So you can get yourself in a bit of trouble if you try to do that. Correct.
Because we don't have a numbered house. Probably the most
Councillor
uncovered.
Thompson.
Can you explain what a Barossa is or whatever you said it was? It's this wine.
It's the vessel.
Because we don't have a connected
It represents the layers of the earth.
Okay.
You've seen it. It's a big sculpture down between, just outside Charlotte and Pernambuco.
Okay.
It represents the different layers of earth in the soils.
Councillor Troop.
Sorry, Kathy, I went into your space a little bit, I'm sorry. I wanted on you, my name was too big.
Oh, being chemical fruit
Squeeze
teas.
yours in a little bit. Got a short name, thank you,
Didn't know
sorry.
what it was.
Do I just sign it first?
No. It's in the thick of a pacemaker.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Lots of council and great
And I
Come again.
Come on, Kathy, get on with it.
It's in the moment of my signature, I can't have any signature.
Look at the top one. Mine on the top.
It's a big.
I should have said that.
As I said, it should be on a banknote, Mike.
Oh, thank you. You've got my present.
Yes.
Wasn't that really costly?
It's unfortunate. The government department's got to know that. Now it's not as involved in it. Just for the take around.
Oh, up, down, around,
Not sure I'll ever.
you'd make a good wedding photographer.
Paparazzi. Housekeeping tips.
How's the old hip, Bim?
It's a niche, market. Imagine every option. So whichever you want to speak.
Just with the Sister City Accord, I just want to read out, this reflects that the Barossa Council, South Australia and the Sister City, Grapevine, Texas, have multiple ties in identity, cultural, social, economic, tourism, industry, affiliates, and are for the great benefit of both communities. In consideration that the relationship that exists between the countries of Australia and the United States shall be characterised by peace, common consent and international accord. And it goes on to talk about the Sister City Accord shall have objectives, and there's a whole range of different objectives about sharing best practices, new ideas, successful experiences across a range of disciplines, and fostering trade and investment initiatives along with visitation and destinations, facilitate education, cultural and sporting exchanges, and to enhance the reputation of both our regions within this accord. So thank you for that. Thank you for all participating, and we'll be sending that information back to Grapevine, and we'll develop that relationship further. So very good. Thank you all. We now get to our confidential reports on 8.1.1 is the Elizabeth Street Tanunda discharge of easement court case strategy. So with that, move into confidence. Councillor De Vries, and seconded Councillor Evan.
I just have a declaration.
Okay, I'll just get a seconder to move into, oh, sorry, no, I'll do that first, yes, sorry, yes. Yes.
Thank you, through the Mayor. Just in relation to item number 1.1.1, the Elizabeth Street matter, I just need to declare a general conflict of interest because Toisner & Co lawyers represent the Vahirs, the neighbours who have joined council to the action, and I used to be employed by Toisner & Co as a practising solicitor for several years, so I just think I should probably leave the room. It was in the past, but it was a long time. So
That's your choice, that's fine. Yep.
thank you, sir.
Yep.
Thank you. And in item 8.1.2, I don't have a conflict, but obviously I'm the local council representative on the development application panel. So I wasn't involved in the decision making with Barossa Central Development, but I just wanted that to note that I'm currently involved with the assessment panel at that level. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Councillor De Vries, you would move and we go into confidence, and seconded Councillor Priest. All those in favour? Carried. Any questions? Could you just turn that mic off for us, Tony, please?
Oh,
8.1.2.
We've got another recommendation.
That right?
It's 1 or 2.
Oh, it was 1 or 2, you're right.
Still in confidence.
Keep the door open until we move back into conference. Yeah.
So, Councillor Evans, we're going to move on to that, the 8.1.2. So,
Move we go into conference, Your Worship.
yes. Anybody else got any conflict of interest here before I go into confidence? Not on this one. Okay, all right. No, all good, okay. Councillor De Vries and Councillor Troop, we're going into confidence. All those in favour? Carries. Councillor De Vries. question before you start on that one, Mayor. I have a general nomination to make. My wife is a member of the Mount Pleasant Farmers Market, and as a resident of Mount Pleasant, I attend there on a regular basis as a volunteer for groups such as the Local History Group, the RSL and the Men's Shed, and each of those groups receives money through the gate, a percentage or a set amount. How much, I've got no idea because I'm not on any of the boards or executive of any of those groups, but they do receive money back through the farmers market. So whilst I receive no money myself, 3 groups I'm associated with do receive money. So my intentions at this meeting is I will stay in the meeting, I will not vote, and I won't enter the debate, but if people have got any questions, because I live down there in Mount Pleasant, I'm happy to answer questions in relation to this matter.
Just for transparency, I regularly go to the market and I have my little badge, which gets me 10% off each time I shop there. I'm passionate
Where
about
do you
this
get your
place,
rose?
but I do not believe.
I have one of those too.
I have to put in my apologies, I actually have to leave now.
Will someone move and go into confidence?
Councillor De Vries and seconded Councillor Thompson. All those in favour? Carried. We need to. Good.
That's the confidential done. Yeah, cool.
Says it's back.
Okay. Thank you, councillors and staff. That concludes our November meeting. Our next scheduled meeting is for the 19th, our ordinary meeting, but I do believe we have a special meeting that's been logged.
Not 19.
Yep. So our ordinary meeting will be on the 19th, but we have a special meeting.
I was just going to say, that's 19th of December, I'll be away.
There's,
Special meeting, you're on.
Hey?
5 o'clock, just a little bit later I can be here, but if it starts 5 o'clock.
yeah, we can do 5:30.
We'll change it to 5:30.
5:15, I can make 5:15.
Fi- 5:15, be all right with everyone for the special meeting? Okay.
And the one in December, I'll be away.
So do you want to put a leave of absence in? So you're putting a leave of absence in? I'll have to ask you to leave then. No, we don't? Oh. Just put an apology in, that's it, of course, yeah, that'll do. All right, with that, I'll formally close the meeting, but you're invited to, we just got some nibbles and some drinks to celebrate our sister city relationship, so you're welcome to hang back and we'll have a chat and celebrate.